Hey guys, I hope that you're enjoying your evening and that you enjoyed your day. Um, don't pay attention to my head wrap. I went on YouTube last night and I always wanted to learn how to wrap these scarves. I see people and they have these funky styles and these head wraps and whatnot. So I looked at a video that showed us how to. Okay, sorry about that. I don't even know if that first video went through, so I'm just going to repeat what I said before I start saying, talking about why I titled my video, One Bad Apple. So again, I always wanted to do these little funky head wraps, and I looked on YouTube and I found a lot of videos that I liked, and they talked about, they showed us how to use different things like leggings and shirts to wrap your head. So these are leggings. I guess you can see that because I actually took this off when I got home because I had it so tight that my head was hurting me so badly. And then I rewrapped it because, I wanted to look slightly presentable when I left this video. So, one bad apple can spoil an entire bunch, and I've heard that said so many times. But today I was speaking to a guy that I really admire. I like, his opinion. I haven't known him for a very long time, but his opinion means a lot to me. He's like this real quality guy, and without being thoughtish about it. I really value his opinion. So we had a conversation today about church because I invited him to my church. And he was saying that he always wanted to go to like an Assembly of God type church. The type of churches where they have like live bands and, live singing, and you can wear what you want. You don't have to, you don't have to dress a certain way to go there, and, that type of service. And I said, my church is like that, and we're having a concert and I'm doing a solo. And he's like, oh, I want to hear you sing. I want to hear you sing. So I gave him an invitation today. And I said, so don't say I never invited you anywhere, because, two birds with one stone, type of church that you always wanted to visit or go to, and the singing. So, so then he goes into saying, what type of people are there, at the church. So basically, he was asking me, are there any thoughts in my church? And I said, you can find that anywhere you go, just because you're going to church. Some people visiting, some people are there, some people. So he goes into this, he goes into saying how he met a girl and she went to church before, and the women in church are just like the women outside, if not worse. He said, he could see himself going there and saying, finding somebody that he finds attractive and saying, what's up? And her saying something like, oh, I want to jump on you. He didn't say that. He was a little more explicit and graphic. But I was, trying to defend this. So then he goes into saying, if you're in the church, then you shouldn't be doing what everybody else in the world is doing. And that's what discourages him from going. And, so I was, trying to say, I said to him, Jesus, hung out with sinners. And he says, yes, that's true, but once you're in the church, you shouldn't be a sinner. So then I went into explaining to him that people are people, and even people that are in the church, we're all human. And I said, that's a problem that the world has, is that they try to hold people that call themselves Christians to this high standard. I said, there are a lot of priests out there who are molesting people, and people who are just bad people, because being a Christian is something that you have to constantly. It's kind of like a grape being disconnected from the vine, or an alcoholic being disconnected from AA. If you disconnect a grape from a vine, from its source of life, then eventually it's going to wither away. It's going to die. If you disconnect a person who is an alcoholic. They have a problem, they have an issue, and you disconnect them from AA. It is very likely and very possible that they will go back to alcohol because there's so much pressure around the world. They already have this disposition. There's a show that I like to watch called it's called Mom, and I think I started watching it when it was old already, as I started watching it on Hulu, and season to season, this girl and her mom was going to AA, and I was wondering why in the world do they keep going to AA, because I know people do that in real life, and as the series continued, you would see how they were tempted, and I think one of them backslid, and there was a friend in it who wound up drinking alcohol again, and it's basically the thing that I learned from that television show, because television mimics life, it imitates life, is that they were stronger when they felt that when they went through any problems that they would have, which made them drink in the past. They had the group for support. And I say all of that to say that, church is kind of like the same thing. And again, I'm not preaching to you to go to church or blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, because it's like this conversation that I had today just like blew me away. And thinking about it, so you go to church and we are all sinners. I used to have such a problem with the fact that I am who I am, that I like to dye my hair red, I like to dye my hair purple, I like rock music, I like all these things, and I thought that it was a bad thing and you can't be a Christian like that and blah, blah, blah. But I've come to the understanding and the realization now that I am human and there's nothing wrong with me. God made me the way that I am, and that's how I am. And we all have different personalities. We all are gifted in different ways, in different areas, and it's okay, And so, but what he was saying was that you have all these Christians who are in the church and they're having sex, and they know, and it's like they're constantly doing and continually doing these things that they know that are wrong. And I couldn't say anything. Basically, my justification was that we're all human, we all make mistakes, we all do these things, things happen. I actually have 2 kids out of wedlock. I never thought that that was going to happen to me because I grew up in the church, but it did, and I'll go into that later. Maybe because, I'm spilling this tea and stuff, however it is that I feel, because I think that I'm helping other people as well as doing a diary for myself. But either way, it happened, it happens. And he just brought up some points, and I got to the point where I couldn't go back and forth with him anymore, and I was just dumbfounded, because he's right to an extent. One bad apple can spoil an entire bunch, so his experience with this girl or girls or what have you that was supposed to be so Christian and going to church and whatever kind of ruined it for him, and it kind of ruined his image of what Christians are. And a lot of people feel that the way that he feels, like Christians are worse than anybody else. It's terrible that we can be human and flawed in our humanness, but then push people away from our higher being. It sucks. Anyway, I was just blown away by that, and I just had to share. Hope you guys are having a great day. See you soon.